Hi, I thought I'd just do a quick video showing you Sydney because a lot of people don't understand Sydney and how big Sydney actually is. So I thought I'd use this three-dimensional raised relief map. Check this out. These are very cool. They're hard to get now, I believe. I don't think they actually make them anymore. But this is Sydney. And it's 1 to 200,000 scale. There you go. 20 Ks there is about, if I take that up there like that, here's Sydney. And, well, there's 20 Ks. Oh, there's from the Sydney CBD, there's the Opera House and the Harbour Bridge. So let me get my finger scale again. There you go. So from the Harbour Bridge there you go, 20. Like, it's about 50 kilometres out to Penrith out there, and there's the Blue Mountains. There's basically two ways up the Blue Mountains. One is the Great Western Highway, which runs from basically Sydney right through the Western Plains, and you can see why it's called the Western Plains, because it's all completely flat up here, and running up the Blue Mountains, which peaks out at about 1,050 odd metres, something like that, just over 1,000 metres high. So there's Katoomba and the Three Sisters, but you can see why Sydney is called a basin, because it's actually very flat out, and it is one big flat basin out here. I don't know how well this is going to show up on video, but you know, two-dimensional video, but hopefully you can see it. It's one big basin. Now, I live in the Hills district here around Borkham Hills, and this is where my lab is around Castle Hill, Borkham Hills area in there, and it is quite hilly around here. I ride my bike to work, and it's, you know, it's quite an effort. It's called the Hills district for a reason. Anyway, so here's Sydney. As I said, there's the Harbour Bridge, there's the Opera House is just right on that point there, and here's Mascot Sydney Airport here, and this is, you know, the central business, like the CBD's in here, but, you know, a lot of your rich bastards, they'll all live like within that sort of distance of Sydney here. And of course we've got hundreds of beaches. Sydney, it extends from like Palm Beach all the way down. I mean, Australia's just all around. Australia is beaches, but then we've got famous Manly Beach, of course. And there's the heads, North and South heads. So you come into Sydney Harbour, as Captain Cook and many others have said, this is the most magnificent harbour in the world. This is Sydney Harbour. It actually extends all the way into Parramatta, which is sort of like the second sort of city in the Sydney region. So yeah, basically Sydney is one big basin that pretty much extends, not quite a semicircle, because it pretty much ends right up at Palm Beach here. So if you say you're from Sydney, it pretty much is like right up to Palm Beach and probably down to, you know, Bundeena, something like that, like Sutherland. That's all still part of Sydney, but pretty much once you got past Ingleburn there, you wouldn't be, say you're in Sydney anymore, and extends right out to the base of the mountains over here, base of the Blue Mountains, right at Penrith, Emu Plains, Windsor, Richmond over here. Before, by the way, that's the other way up the Blue Mountains. That's called the Bells Line of Road. That's what it's called. And there's canyons up there at Mount Wilson, and there's Blackheath, and there's Katoomba, and I've done Wentworth Falls up here, where I've done canyoning videos, destroying the multimeters and stuff like that. So there you go. But yeah, that's pretty much Sydney. So if you say you're from Sydney, then basically you're anywhere in this basin region. Now, there is some people have taken me to task about this before, saying, oh, there's Greater Sydney, in quote marks, which includes all of the Blue Mountains and some of your regions up here and down here like this. Well, you ask anyone from the Blue Mountains if they live in Sydney, and they'll say, bugger off, mate, I'm from the mountains. Yeah, so if you say you're from Sydney, It basically is, you can pretty much consider it like a 50-kilometre radius, pretty much, more or less. So it extends out about 50 kilometres to the base of the mountains, a little bit less further up. Like there's not much up here, up at Wilberforce and stuff like that. And pretty much once you get past Berowra up there and places like that, you're pretty much out of Sydney, past that Palm Beach kind of area. So yeah, and pretty much down past, as I said, Bundeena, Cronulla is another famous beach. Got the Kurnell, that's where we used to have our oil refineries. Don't think they're still there anymore. But Camden, Camden'd still be in Sydney. So, pretty much anything in that basin is Sydney. So there you go. I hope you gave that. That gave you a bit of overview. And by the way, here we go. Warragamba, that's our main water source for Sydney. Warragamba, our dam is in there. Warragamba Dam, very famous. This is, I don't know how many Sydney harbours it is. We always equate our, volume of water to how many Sydney harbours, So, yeah, Sydney Harbour is basically all in there, but it extends, as I said, right out, pretty much right out to Parramatta, and there's lots of, tributaries and all that sort of stuff. Basically anything that any house in here that lines Sydney Harbour is worth like a fortune. If you have to ask the price, you can't afford it. But anyway, Sydney is also basically divided by the Great Western Highway here. Any like northwestern suburbs like I am. I actually grew up in the western suburbs of Sydney, which is, I don't know what would be the equivalent overseas, but the poorer areas of Sydney. The further west you go, generally the poorer areas, and now like southwest would be your poorer areas. So the closer you get towards Sydney, basically the richer you get, and basically anything in terms of like coastal, anything on the coast, anything on the harbour, like real expensive real estate and stuff like that. But pretty much the north is probably a more desirable, I'm going to cop a lot of flack, more desirable than south, because south has got the airport, you've got the airport noise and stuff like that. And so generally, north of Sydney here is a bit more desirable, unless you're like around here, which is like filthy rich region of Sydney. And hopefully this is all showing up. And what else can I say about Sydney? But anyway, yeah, water sources. Warragamba's the main water source. Got Prospect Reservoir here, and there's a couple of up the mountains and a few other ones and things like that. But Warragamba is our main water source. But if you go down the coast, actually, follow the coast down. Let's have a look at this. Look at this, great. Follow the coast down through Wollongong. And you can see how it really, Wollongong actually, is sort of like buried in here. There's this massive ridge like that goes all the way up here. I've actually flown a Cessna 152. That's a story. I've flown a Cessna 152 from Bankstown Airport, which is Bankstown. It's where is it? It's out here. There it is. It's in there somewhere. Bankstown Airport. And, Bankstown Airport, flown that down to Wollongong, landed at Wollongong, took off and have flown like, 50 metres away from the cliffs all the way back, and that was fun. And, but, yep, so there you go. And you can see these reliefs down here, and of course the mountains up here are really like, as I said, probably 1,000 metres tall, nothing compared to like, the Alps and things like that in your European regions and things like that. Not much, but, pretty tall for Sydney, 1,000 metres up. And most of Sydney Basin is, 50 metres above sea level, something like that. It's really, it's not much. It is literally a basin. So, there you go. Hope you found that interesting. That's just a little overview of Sydney. So, yes, I was born and raised here. And as I said, yep, I live my lab, and I live like 5 minutes, like within walking distance of my lab, out in the Hills District here, which doesn't look very hilly, does it? Really doesn't. But trust me, It's, you know, if you want to ride your bike up those hills, it's quite a bit of a ride every day. Anyway, there you go. Hope you enjoyed that overview of Sydney. If you did, please give it a big thumbs up. Catch you next time.